For centuries, Alyx has served death as a fallen angel charged with gathering mortal souls. But when she's injured and stranded in the mortal world, undead hunter Riven is dispatched by the angels to capture her before she upsets the delicate balance between life and death. Alyx tumbled through the void, her wings burning. The searing pain reminded her of her rebellion, of the moment when she finally turned against her master's wishes, when she defied death himself. She had served loyally for centuries, ferrying mortal souls to the afterlife. It was a cold, detached existence. She was not permitted to intervene, merely to collect and deliver to death what was owed. Not even when she saw goodness and potential being prematurely snuffed out. But it wore on her frozen heart eons of watching lives cut short, of reaping children and mothers, and those who deserved more time. At last, she dared to resist. Just once, she saved a mortal family from a deadly crash, delivering them safely while leaving death empty-handed. It was enough to incur his wrath. Now she was cast out of the death realm, plummeting helplessly towards the mortal world. When Alyx crashed into the woods outside a small town, the impact shattered her wings and shattered the hold death had over her. She was stranded on Earth, cut off from the master she had served for so long. Groaning, Alyx dragged herself from the crater her fall had left. Her injuries would have killed a human, but she was made of sterner stuff. Gritting her teeth against the pain, she stumbled towards the lights glimmering through the trees. She found an abandoned cottage, neglected and falling apart, but it would provide shelter to regain her strength while she planned her next move. Shaking out her damaged wings, Alyx slipped inside. Dust coated every surface, smelling of mold and decay. She waved a hand and spectral flames sprang up in the fireplace, casting flickering light over the interior. It was rustic and simple, a living area and kitchen downstairs, bedroom and bath upstairs. Humble, even by mortal standards. But to Alyx, it was a glimpse of the freedom she had never known. A life, however small and fleeting, bound by no duties or obligations. Her first taste of mortal independence. Alyx knew it would not last. As soon as her wounds healed, death would send another servant to collect her. And when death gave an order, it was carried out, no matter what. She sank down by the fireplace, ignoring the stab of pain from her shattered wings. For now she simply savored the solitude. A few miles away, a teenage girl named Zoe wandered along the darkened roads, feeling restless. At 17, she felt trapped in her tiny, unchanging town, longing for adventure. The night called to that reckless, adventurous side of her spirit. Zoe slipped past the gloomy houses and shops, wandering closer to the woods outside town. She paused when she spotted the flickering lights in the distance. Zoe's heart quickened with excitement. She'd heard tales of hikers getting lost in the woods, but no one lived out there. Just some crumbling, abandoned buildings that had been swallowed up by the wilderness years ago. Against her better judgment, Zoe's curiosity won out. She slipped into the shadowy forest, picking her way towards the dilapidated cottage that was impossibly lit from within. Up close, Zoe could make out a figure through the grimy windows. A woman, moving slowly as though in pain. Concern overtook Zoe's curiosity. Someone must be hurt, maybe lost. She approached the front door, knocking softly. "Hello? Are you okay in there?" Inside, Alyx froze. A mortal was here already. She waved a hand and the spectral flames vanished, plunging the cottage into darkness. Whoever it was, they could not find her here, powerless and vulnerable. Silently, she retreated up the stairs, melting into the shadows of the second floor. When there was no response, Zoe gently turned the doorknob and the front door creaked open. The cottage appeared empty, dark and cold. Had she imagined the lights? "I just want to help," Zoe called softly. "If you're hurt or need anything." Only silence answered. But Zoe's compassion would not allow her to leave someone potentially in need. She crossed the threshold into the dusty cottage. Zoe lit her cell phone screen for light. "My name's Zoe," she said, hoping a gentle, honest appeal might draw the stranger out. "I'm not here to cause trouble." She explored the first floor, finding only cobwebs and rodent droppings. Zoe hesitated at the base of the stairs. Maybe the owner didn't want company or help. But what if they were unable to respond? Injured, or worse? It would never sit right on her conscience if she simply walked away. Taking a deep breath, Zoe ascended the creaky stairs. She checked each room, finding them empty. In the farthest room, a broken window let in faint starlight. Shattered glass littered the floorboards. Zoe swept her phone light over the room and froze. In the corner crouched a figure, barely visible in the shadows. But what drew Zoe's stunned gaze were the majestic wings protruding from her back. They shone iridescent black in the dim light. The woman, if she could be called that, clutched one protectively. Even in the darkness, Zoe could see it was badly injured. She met the winged woman's intense blue eyes and did not feel afraid, only wonder. "It's you," Zoe whispered. "You're why I felt drawn here." The winged woman remained silent. Mortals knew her kind by many names, but never their true one. Zoe stared at her in awe tinged with concern. "You're hurt," the girl observed. "Please, let me help you." Alyx considered the mortal girl, compassionate, though she did not even know what Alyx was, and Alyx was too weak to resist or flee. But perhaps she needed someone's aid, however lowly, if she hoped to outrun death's wrath. "Yes," Alyx finally replied, her voice melodic but strained. "I accept your offer." Zoe's eyes lit up and her smile was radiant. "Everything's going to be okay," she promised. "My name's Zoe. What's yours?" Alyx paused. In all her eons of existence, no one had ever cared to ask. "Alyx," she replied softly. "Alyx," Zoe repeated. "That's beautiful." The fallen angel could only manage a faint smile, but for the first time in forever, her frozen heart felt a tiny flicker of warmth. Riven knelt before the council, head bowed. He was an outcast here, the only undead soul in the realm of angels, but when death called, all were bound to answer. "One of our own has fallen to the mortal world," the lead council member intoned. His voice echoed through the vaulted chamber. "Alyx defied our most sacred law, intervening to spare lives fated to end. For this betrayal, she was cast out." Riven listened silently, stone-faced. "However, allowing a fallen angel to roam free in the mortal realm risks grave imbalance," the angel continued. "Souls she saves could disrupt the order of life and death." He focused blazing eyes on Riven. "You, Hunter, are uniquely qualified for this mission. You walk between two worlds. We charge you to capture Alyx and return her here to face judgment." Riven accepted with a solemn nod. He was used to tracking renegade creatures, fallen angels included. It was unwise to refuse the council. "We have divined Alyx's location," the angel went on. "She hides her essence but cannot evade our sight forever." He gestured and a vision appeared before Riven, a crumbling cottage nestled in the depths of a forest. "Alyx has allied herself with a mortal girl, but do not be deterred. The balance must be restored." The image faded, but Riven had a fix on the location. He rose, bowing his head respectfully before turning to go. This hunt called him, as they all did. Alyx would not evade him for long. Riven had no home, only the clothes and weapons he carried. He walked the roads under the stars, needing no food or rest. In life, he had been a hunter and tracker without equal. Now the council employed his skills to rein in those who would defy the boundaries between worlds. Near dawn, he reached the woods where Alyx had fallen. The trees grew thick and gloomy, but Riven moved through them like a ghost. He did not fear the shadows. When the abandoned cottage came into view, he paused, all senses alert. Curling mist obscured the structure, but he could perceive signs of habitation, a thin trail of smoke from the chimney, flickering light in the grimy windows. Riven considered his approach. Alyx would be weakened, but cornering her could provoke desperation. Better to watch and wait for the perfect moment to strike. Silent as a specter, Riven melted into the trees nearby. He would not leave without his quarry in chains. Inside the cottage, Alyx noted Zoe unpacking supplies from her backpack. Blankets, first aid kit, food. All to provide care and comfort to a stranger. After centuries of cold obligation, such compassion was a revelation. Zoe gave her a concerned once-over, her eyes lingering on Alyx's bandaged wings. "Are you in a lot of pain?" "I will recover," Alyx assured her. Angels were made of tougher stuff than humans. Gently, she added, "Your kindness is appreciated, child. But you need not linger here. My troubles do not concern you." Zoe gave her a look of quiet determination. Everyone deserves help when they're hurt. She prepared a meal, and they talked haltingly over stale bread. Zoe asked gentle questions, but seemed to sense Alyx could not reveal her whole truth yet. In turn, Alyx learned of Zoe's restless dreams of leaving her small town for adventures abroad. "There is wisdom in finding beauty in simplicity," Alyx told her. "All realms have darkness and light." Their conversation faded as Alyx grew weary, the weight of her wounds settling on her immortal form. Sensing this, Zoe laid out blankets by the fire. "Rest," she urged. "We'll talk more later." Gratefully, Alyx sank down, her damaged wings cradled close. She had not needed sleep in centuries, but now it rose to claim her. As she drifted off, the girl dimmed the lights and slipped upstairs, giving Alyx solitude. Left alone, Alyx stared into the flames, reflecting on these past days. For the first time, she recognized the cold emptiness of her former existence, detached from feeling or connection. Here, she was no servant of death, but simply a living being shown compassion. The revelation kindled a fragile hope inside her. A floorboard creaked softly overhead. Instantly alert, Alyx reached out with her senses, probing for intruders. She perceived the mortal girl slumbering peacefully upstairs. But lurking at the cottage border was a darker presence, heavy with fatal intent. Fear pierced Alyx's heart. Death had found her. Summoning her last dregs of power, Alyx concealed herself and Zoe behind a veil of illusion. As long as they did not stray outside, the hunter would not perceive them. But they were trapped here, until Alyx recovered enough magic to escape. She considered fleeing immediately, but the attempt could destroy them both. The hunter was here for her. As long as he sensed Alyx still nearby, the girl should be safe. She would not see an innocent harmed because of her. Alyx kept vigil through the night, warding their refuge as best she could. But Death's hunter waited just beyond the threshold. Sooner or later he would find his way in, and she was too weak yet to elude him. Fear and regret warred inside her, but she did not rouse Zoe. This burden was hers alone to bear. At sunrise, the girl stirred. Alyx beckoned her close with grave urgency. "You must leave this place," she warned Zoe. "It is no longer safe." Zoe stared at her in confusion. Before she could protest, a crash exploded from the front of the cottage. The hunter had come through the warding spells. There was no more time. "Go!" Alyx cried, shoving Zoe towards the rear door. Reluctantly, the girl obeyed, her eyes full of questions Alyx could not yet answer. Heavy footsteps crossed the threshold. Alyx turned to face her fate as the hunter stalked inside. His soul shone darkly to her senses, undead, but intelligent and formidable. He had come for her. With grim resolve, Alyx summoned her remaining magic. If this was to be her end, she would not go quietly. She drew herself up defiantly as the hunter approached. All around them, the air crackled with gathering power. Riven studied the winged figure before him intently. Her posture was defiant, but the way she favored her bandaged wing told him she was far from full strength. This fight would not be easy, but the outcome was not in doubt. "I've come for you, Alyx," he said. His voice rasped from disuse. The dead had little need for conversation. Make this simple and surrender peacefully. Alyx's eyes flashed. I know what fate awaits me. I will not be taken quietly. The air hummed with gathering power as she prepared to strike. But Riven was already in motion. With supernatural speed, he hurled an enchanted bola, binding Alyx fast before she could attack. She crashed to the floor, her damaged wing twisting painfully beneath her. Riven was at her side in an instant, silver manacles slapped over her wrists, inscribed with binding sigils. Alyx struggled furiously, but the restraints sapped her waning strength. As the last of her magic drained away, despair flooded through her. She was well and truly caught. Why do you serve them? She demanded of Riven bitterly. You were mortal once. You know their tyranny and indifference to life. Riven checked her bindings dispassionately. I do as I must. We all serve a purpose. With Alyx secured, he searched for the mortal girl, but found no trace. She must have fled at the sound of his entrance. Just as well. His business was not with her. Riven hauled Alyx to her feet, though she stumbled weakly. The fight had gone out of her, replaced by brooding defeat. She stared past Riven at the cottage which had sheltered her, however briefly. He felt an unexpected pang of regret at destroying this small place of refuge for her. But the Council's commands could not be denied. Alyx did not resist as Riven led her outside. Her eyes drifted skyward, perhaps yearning for the freedom of her lost wings. But the sky was soon lost from view as Riven pulled a hood over her head, masking her from mortal eyes. She made no protest at this final indignity. They walked in silence through the woods where Riven had tracked her. Alyx moved slowly, the chains and her injuries weighing her down. But Riven's pace was inexorable. The Council awaited his return. He kept to remote forest paths, avoiding towns and roads where Alyx would draw attention. At nightfall, he secured her beneath the boughs of a great oak so he could patrol the perimeter. He sensed no pursuers. The girl seemed to have fled for good. Alyx sat slumped against the tree, staring at nothing. Why do you not kill me? She asked dully. It would be kinder than what awaits in the Council's hands. Riven did not answer. She had betrayed immutable laws, but he took no pleasure in being her captor. He too knew what it meant to crave freedom and purpose, but their kind served at the will of greater powers. They had no say in their own fate. When dawn came, they continued onward. Riven chose winding trails, careful to remain distant from any settlements. But as morning wore on, Alyx began flagging. She stumbled often, her breath growing labored. The fight had taken much out of her, and mortal frailties now plagued her fallen form. Riven knew she needed rest and sustenance. Near midday, he turned them off the forest paths to an overgrown wagon track. It led up a hill crowned with abandoned ruins, some ancient castle or temple. They would be sheltered from sight there. Alyx sank gratefully down on a crumbling wall when they reached the ruins. Riven took another survey of the area, then tossed her a satchel. Eat and recover your strength, he said. Alyx blinked in surprise, but wasted no time devouring the dried meat and fruit within. Riven left her to rebuild her energy and continued scouting their surroundings. Their stop would be brief. The ruins provided adequate cover, overgrown and hidden from casual view, but complications still found them. Riven stiffened at the echo of voices drifting up from the forest below. He ghosted to the edge of the ruins for a better vantage. A group of armed men were forging up the hill, axes and swords glinting ominously. Bandits. They must have spotted Riven and Alyx on the path earlier and tracked them, anticipating easy prey. Riven was not concerned for himself, but Alyx was still weakened. He would need to deal with this nuisance before it became a threat. Silent as a shadow, Riven raced back to where he'd left Alyx. But she was gone. The satchel of food lay discarded on the ground. Riven spotted a flicker of movement atop the crumbling castle walls. Alyx poised there, ready to hurl herself over the edge. Even without wings, the fall could carry her far from Riven's reach. With unnatural speed, he crossed the distance between them and seized Alyx before she could leap. She did not struggle this time, merely went limp in his iron grip. "Why stop me?" she asked dully. "You want me chained as much as the council. At least this way I could die free." Riven held her firmly. "I cannot allow it. The balance must be maintained." Alyx's shoulders slumped in defeat, but Riven had no time to explain further. The bandits were almost upon them. He quickly dragged Alyx down and chained her within a small chamber overgrown by vines. It should keep her concealed long enough for Riven to deal with the interlopers. "I will return shortly," he told her. Exhausted, Alyx simply turned her face to the wall. Riven slipped soundlessly back outside as the bandit gang emerged from the trees. He kept to the shadows, choosing his moment carefully as they crept into the ruins. The element of surprise was his ally. When the bandits reached the main courtyard, Riven struck. Moving faster than human eyes could follow, he cut down 2 men before they even realized he was there. Chaos erupted as the bandits attacked wildly, but their blades passed harmlessly through Riven's incorporeal form. He was death incarnate and could not be touched by the living. Within moments, the rest lay dead or dying. Riven cleaned his sword impassively before returning to Alyx's makeshift cell. She had not moved, locked in despairing resignation. But when Riven entered to unchain her, defiance flashed once more in her eyes. "I'm not beaten yet," she warned coldly. Riven almost admired her stubborn will to resist, despite all odds. But her choices were gone. She was his prisoner now. "If you fight me again, I will use harsher bindings," he said bluntly. "Cooperate and your passage need not be painful." Alyx glared poisonously but offered no physical resistance as Riven pulled her to her feet and refastened the manacles. All the fight had gone out of her for now. She had only acceptance left, however bitter. They left the bandit corpses without a backward glance. By sunset, the ruins were far behind them. But Alyx's spirit remained trapped there, grieving the loss of her wounded, limited freedom. The only liberty left to her was the ultimate final one no captor could restrain, and perhaps eventually Riven would grant her that mercy. The fortress of the council rose towering and forbidding atop a sheer mountain peak. Riven's destination was in sight at last, with his captive in tow. Alyx had not spoken since they left the ruins. She moved listlessly, her despair a palpable weight. Riven delivered her to the council's guards at the gates. Though they regarded him with cold suspicion as an undead outsider, none disputed his right to be there. The angels feared contamination from his kind, but they could not deny the council endorsed this hunter and his lethal skills. The gates opened to permit them entry. Riven pulled Alyx's hood down, exposing her face to the angels' disdainful glares. He knew their scorn did not bother her. She was lost in her own inner darkness. Head high, she faced their derision proudly as she was led inside. The guards escorted them both to the council chambers. Alyx faltered as they approached the towering double doors. For the first time, stark fear broke through her apathy as she confronted what awaited within. The council's judgment and decree. Riven kept his own face impassive, obscuring any conflicted emotion. His task here was complete. The rebel angel had been captured and handed over to divine justice. Any mercy she might receive was out of his hands now. Rules were rules. The doors swung open with an echoing groan. The council's inner sanctum glittered with celestial light far brighter than any place in the mortal realms. Riven and Alyx were shepherded inside to the center of the vast chamber. There the council members waited on their tiered dais, perfect and terrible in their luminosity. Alyx lifted her head to meet their gazes, some scornful, some pitying, none understanding. Her escorting guards melted away, leaving the accused alone before her living judges. The head council member studied Alyx impassively. "You have defied cosmic law and upset the balance we are sworn to maintain. By intervening in mortal lives fated to end, you threaten chaos we can scarcely comprehend." Alyx faced him defiantly. Following your laws cost me my conscience and compassion. I do not regret my choice." Murmurs passed through the council at this brazen declaration. The head angel's expression hardened. "You are privileged to serve our purpose, yet you turn against divine order itself. Such rebellion cannot go unpunished." Alyx's voice trembled slightly but did not waver. "I accept my fate for daring to feel and think. Free will should not be only humanity's right." The murmurs rose louder, but she would not recant her words. Riven listened silently. He understood the lure of choice and volition, denied to souls like him and Alyx bound by higher authorities. But to speak so openly was beyond bold. It was reckless. The head angel slammed down his gavel-like staff. "Enough! Your insolence deepens your guilt. We must protect cosmic balance from your chaos and disobedience." He pronounced her sentence. Alyx would be imprisoned in an isolated realm and stripped of her remaining magic as punishment for turning against her duty. Her wings would not grow back. She would never fly again. Horror dawned on Alyx's face. Without magic or wings, she was little more than human, and eternity with no hope of escape or redemption stretched bleakly before her. As guards stepped forward to carry out the sentence, she screamed, a piercing cry filled with despair, rage, and sorrow. The guards faltered, shaken by the force of her grief. None had heard an angel make such a sound before. Even the council members murmured uneasily amongst themselves. Riven forced himself to turn away. Her anguish was not his concern. She was merely a task, a job. Let the angels deal with the consequences of their harsh justice. At the doors of the chamber, he found his path blocked. The mortal girl, Zoe, stood there flanked by guards. Her face was streaked with tears, but set with quiet determination. "Let me pass," Riven said brusquely, but Zoe shook her head and turned to the council, ignoring him. "You claim to be beings of light and wisdom," she boldly addressed them, "but no compassion guides your hearts. Alyx defied you because she could not bear to watch suffering she was forced to ignore." Zoe's voice caught with emotion. "If you must punish her, punish me too. She is my friend, and her only crime was regaining her lost humanity." The council members stared down at Zoe, taken aback. Riven, too, could only gaze at the young mortal who would stand against angels for her friend. The head council member frowned uncertainly. "We do not involve ourselves with human affairs. The fallen angel alone is our concern." "Then make her human," Zoe pleaded passionately. "Bind her wings and magic forever if you must, but do not destroy her spirit. She helped me without seeking anything in return. How can divinity close its eyes to kindness and conscience?" A weighted silence fell across the chamber. Zoe's courageous words seemed to reach even the angels' cold hearts. Alyx stared at the mortal girl in wonder, her sobs quieting. Riven found himself shaken as well, moved by this selfless display. At last, the head council member turned to confer with the others, their celestial voices too faint for human ears. After several moments of intense debate, he faced the chamber again. "The council has reconsidered," he decreed formally. "The fallen Alyx will face a new sentence. She is cast from our realm, never to return. Her wings and magic will be stripped, rendering her fully mortal. She must live out her days in the human world which has so beguiled her." He slammed down his staff in finality. Guards released Alyx from her chains and manacles, but did not return her to custody. She stood frozen, scarcely able to believe her sentence had been lifted. Zoe raced to embrace her friend, her face alight with joy and relief. Alyx clung to the mortal girl weakly, the one who had faced down angels without hesitation to save her. The council dismissed them all, eager to resolve this unconventional matter. As they turned to go, Zoe met Riven's gaze boldly. "Thank you for letting me reach her in time," she told him with quiet certainty. Riven only nodded, unsure what to make of this girl who had accomplished what he could not and helped win Alyx's freedom. A true mortal champion. With Zoe's support, Alyx walked steadily from the chamber where she had expected to meet her doom. Riven followed at a distance behind the reunited friends. Alyx had found her salvation. His task here was complete. But as they emerged into daylight through the fortress gates, Alyx turned back to him. "Will you not come with us?" she asked with tentative hope. "You spared my life when you could have taken it. We would both welcome your company." Riven hesitated, moved by her offer despite himself, but his place was not among them. "My world is darkness and solitude," he said gruffly. "But I wish you well, Alyx. Be grateful for your freedom." Leaving them, he walked the long road down from the mountain alone. He had known only duty and loyalty to his masters for lifetimes. Now, pondering Alyx's salvation, he wondered if a redeemed soul like him could ever find purpose or peace. Alyx stepped cautiously through the front door of Zoe's modest home, wary of this strange new mortal world. The girl's parents had welcomed them both kindly after Zoe explained she was helping a friend in need. But Alyx felt like a stranger in her own altered form. Her wings were gone, between one agonizing moment and the next. The council had been ruthlessly efficient, ripping away her sacred gifts before casting her from their realm. Bereft even of the magic that had always flowed through her veins, Alyx felt exposed and vulnerable. She was no angel anymore, but not fully human either. An outcast, stranded between identities. Zoe gave her hand a reassuring squeeze. "It's okay. We'll figure everything out together." The unconditional support meant everything to Alyx. Zoe had given up her own future to stand beside her friend. Together, they would build a new life far from the world Alyx once knew. The days passed in a blur of novel experiences. She tasted food and drink for the first time, felt physical exhaustion and the relief of sleep. Emotions flooded her senses unchecked by angelic detachment, often overwhelming in their intensity. Through it all, Zoe stayed faithfully by her side. Alyx's newfound humanity was not without perils. She struggled to filter the barrage of mortal sensations, so different from her past ascetic existence, and the modern world held many dangers for two young women alone. But Alyx no longer possessed the magic or strength to protect them. When a gang cornered them in an alley, she could only shield Zoe's body with her own until the mortal police intervened. The humiliation of weakness burned hotly in Alyx. "I'm sorry," Zoe said afterwards, tending to her injuries. "I keep forgetting you're not invulnerable anymore." Alyx managed a wan smile. "I am the one still adjusting to this frail form, but I will adapt." Zoe's optimism never wavered. "We'll figure it out," she repeated. The sincere promise lifted Alyx's spirits, but doubt lingered. She had lost more than wings in her fall. Without powers, she feared losing the chance to make a difference she had sacrificed everything for. Her sacrifice now seemed hollow, her rebellion in vain. But Zoe often caught her brooding and gently offered perspective. "Being human isn't about what you can do," she insisted. "It's who you are." As Alyx slowly embraced the wisdom of it. As she opened her mind to human existence, the realm began feeling less alien. She found value in simple choices and feelings so long forbidden to angels. Laughter, friendship, and quiet moments of reflection fulfilled needs mere power never had. On the anniversary of Alyx's mortal rebirth, Zoe surprised her with a gift, an engraved pendant shaped like an angel wing. "Wings or not, you'll always be an angel to me," Zoe told her. Alyx clutched the pendant to her heart, overwhelmed by fierce love for this selfless mortal who had given her back her life. But darkness still hunted Alyx. Walking home alone from her job one night, she felt the hairs on her neck stand up with preternatural warning she had not felt since her angelic days. She turned to find herself confronted by a tall figure wreathed in shadows. darkness given form and substance. A demon. We sensed a fallen angel's power scattered to the winds, the demon hissed, skulking closer. Imagine our surprise to also find you alone and helpless before us. Alyx suppressed her terror, thinking only of protecting Zoe from this evil now drawn to her. If she could keep it occupied, Zoe might have a chance to flee when she realized Alyx was missing. The demon tracked her glance. Ah, but we already know of the mortal girl who sheltered you. It will be simple enough to find her, after dealing with you. Fury banished Alyx's fear. Mortal or not, she would die before allowing Zoe to be harmed. When the demon lunged, she was ready, meeting its attack with desperation fueled by love. Though it was far stronger, she clawed and tore at the demon fiercely, but its claws raked at her as well, gashing mortal flesh. Alyx felt hot blood soak her shirt as she reeled, struggling to retain consciousness. The demon loomed over her prone form, anticipating an easy kill. "Stay away from her!" Riven's voice cut through the alley, harsh and commanding. The demon recoiled instinctively from the undead hunter and his lethal blade. It hissed in fury at him. "This fallen angel is ours. Begone, dead thing!" Riven's eyes narrowed. He had tracked this rogue demon since the borders between realms wavered from a fallen angel's power dispersing. Now he knew why. It sought Alyx. Her sacrifice had unwittingly placed a target on her back. "She belongs to no one," he grated out. "Leave this place or I will destroy you." The demon grasped it was overmatched, but it could not resist a parting taunt. "The mortal will be ours," it warned ominously, before dissolving into smoke and shadows. Riven was instantly at Alyx's side. Her breaths came in ragged gasps, blood still flowing from the demon's claw marks. Riven's chest tightened. She had been ready to give her life fighting for the girl who had saved her. But perhaps he could still save Alyx. Scooping her carefully up, Riven bore her swiftly away. He brought her to an abandoned chapel, long since sanctified by holy rites. The lingering sacred energy would help heal Alyx and shield her from the demon for now. Riven tended her injuries through the night. When Alyx finally stirred, he explained haltingly why he had found her. "I swore to protect the balance," he told her, "but I want to protect you and the girl as well." Gratitude shone through Alyx's pain. Riven had no easy words of comfort or affection. He could only offer what he did best, the skills of a hunter and warrior. But it seemed enough for Alyx. When she was recovered, Riven summoned Zoe. Together, they reinforced the protections on Alyx's home. Riven could not linger, but promised to return at the first sign of trouble. "I owe you far more than I can repay," Alyx told him earnestly. Riven merely nodded, embarrassed by her open sentiment. Kindness did not come naturally to him, but for her, he was trying. In the following nights, she and Zoe kept close watch for any return of the demonic presence. But their lives gradually resumed a normal rhythm. Alyx perceived Riven keeping his own watch from the shadows, allowing them safety but solitude. One night, she left Zoe sleeping and slipped outside alone. Shadows stirred, coalescing into Riven's form. Alyx approached him directly for the first time since her rescue. "Will you not come inside and rest?" she asked gently. Riven avoided her gaze, as always more comfortable with distance. But Alyx's sincerity could not be ignored. "My presence would only cast a pall. I am darkness. You should stay in the light." Gently she laid a hand on his arm. "Once that was true, but you were redeemed the night you saved me. There is light in you, Riven. You need only accept it." Riven flinched from her touch, finding truth unsettling. But Alyx waited patiently, accustomed to immortals struggling with change. "If you insist on guarding me, then let it be at my side," she pressed softly. "We are alike, you and I, the lost and fallen. We could both use a friend who understands." Slowly, Riven lifted his haunted eyes to meet hers. He read only compassion and acceptance in Alyx's face. Perhaps she was right. Even one such as him deserved some solace. "Very well," he conceded gruffly. "I will try." Alyx smiled, linking her arm through his and gently guiding him inside. Zoe welcomed Riven eagerly, immediately putting him at ease with her bright spirit. He was reminded again of what Alyx and this mortal girl had overcome together. These two brave souls saw light even in deathly shadows like him. They had found salvation through hope and redemption. Moved, Riven made a silent vow. He would walk in darkness no more. Wherever Alyx and Zoe led, he would follow into the light.
Thank you very much for listening. Please leave a like if you enjoyed this story. Subscribe if you loved it.